Well, good afternoon and good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. This is Harry Brelsford from SMB Nation for our pre-WPC weekly webinar. It's a special treat this time. It's 1 o'clock Pacific instead of our usual 10 a.m. time. So that covers a lot of the world. That means Asia can attend, Europe can attend. A little bit late in Europe, they might have a beer in their hand. And then, of course, the West Coast and East Coast of the U.S. can attend. So we tried to find the perfect time as best we could to continue our series on the next SBS, Part 3. Next slide, please. For those of you that I haven't met, my name is Harry Brelsford, the founder of SMB Nation. If you ever want to kind of know where I came from, look at LinkedIn or Facebook and Amazon.com. You'll see my small business server books. You'll see me at WPC all next week. So I look forward to seeing you there. We'll talk more about that. Next slide, please. If you're not familiar with SMB Nation, we're a community, grassroots community, initially formed surrounding the enthusiasm and excitement of small business server. But since that time, we've expanded to a much larger conversation concerning the small and mid-sized business IT pro, channel partner, consultant, reseller, whatever acronym you want to use. Next slide, please. SMB Nation upcoming events. So I want to take a second here, then I'll talk about housekeeping. So we have the July Beer Fest in Washington, D.C. That's this Sunday night, July 13th. We're going to send you out some information on that after the webinar. It's 7:30 to 9:30 p.m. Our host today is also the leadoff host for this event, Zynstra, 7:30 to 9:30 in Washington, D.C. Now, let me, just to be clear, this is after the World Cup final and before the keynote addresses start on Monday morning. So it's our traditional and annual Sunday night beer fest for WPC, and I hope you'll join us. You'll receive some more information. And again, the good folks at Zynstra are the primary sponsor of this. We also have the SMB Nation 2014 Fall Conference, September 26th through 28th in Redmond, Washington, with a Office 365 theme, and of course that includes hybrid computing in the full spectrum of SMB computing. And then finally, we're launching the Office 365 Nation Community Portal. That's going to be launched during WPC. More information coming soon. Next slide, please, Heather. While Heather's bringing up the next slide, just want to bring to your attention that we have used the chat feature as always to ask your questions. Today's intended to be an interactive session. It's third in the series on the next SBS, and we look forward to your participation. With that said, let's talk about disruptions. So kind of recapping, if you will, if you don't mind me putting a wrapper on where we've been and where we're going with this series of webinars on the next SBS, we're talking about disruptions. And the disruptions create opportunities, confusion, and anxiety. But there's never been a more disruptive time, in my opinion, in the SMB technology market. And so it's very exciting, and every day I have conversations with people across a wide variety of walks of life regarding the chaos and the disruption that we're going through in technology, but more importantly, how can you pivot and capitalize on it? The demand, so the on-premises demand factor is a hybrid solution. So as I've said in the prior webinars, and I'll say again, and you'll hear more than once today, that essentially the truth's in the middle. That when we're looking at the different computing paradigms out there, it's not all on-premises and it's not all on cloud. The truth is in the middle with a hybrid solution, so an on-prem solution supporting cloud functionality. The new technologies, so we're going to get a little bit deeper today on the technical side about the post-SBS world and the new technology that provide these opportunities. The services, critical, and a huge part of today's webinar is it's a business model conversation about how to deliver this as a service. And then the training, train your customers as your post-SBS service. The one thing we probably don't do as good a job of as we should as the training component. Next slide, please. Back to gathering. So just to reiterate how we got to where we're at today, we're busy at SMB Nation. So we've been busy on a worldwide Get Modern tour, 30 countries over the first half of the year that recently concluded in late June. We had a PowerShell tour that went around the U.S. We actually, the prior year, did an XP migration tour. We have conferences that we attend, like the Channel Pro SMB Forum. I'll look forward to seeing you at their event in Boston in September. WPC next week is a good example of that. And then conversations each and every day on the phone, good Lord. But that's how we kind of keep our feet on the street, is to talk to the SMB IT Pro about what they're doing, what their concerns are, and how they're going to get there. So that's how we gather the facts, and I've kind of concluded what does life look like post SBS. And again, I'm going to let the cat out of the bag. It's a hybrid world at the end of the day, with an on-prem solution supporting cloud functionality. Next slide, please. So what's hot and what's not? Here's the hairy updates. So we have Office 365 is literally on fire. If you want to enjoy the cartoon, I could go on and on and on. And we're not here for an Office 365 webinar today, but suffice it to say, it's selling several licenses a minute from Microsoft, over $2 million a quarter, fastest product to $1 billion. And funny story, last night I had occasion to bump into my sister and her husband. He's a doctor. And I said Office 365, and he said, I'm using it. And that was very, very interesting to me for a medical doctor to be able to even have that brand awareness of Office 365. That's really saying something. What we're not seeing is strictly on-prem is a reality. Doing nothing is just as it says, doing nothing. That's really not acceptable today. You're in the technology profession. Every 10 years we reinvent ourselves. And so I'm seeing very little of the do-nothings. That's the good news. And then finally, we're not seeing a huge rush to the system builder mentality and build it yourself. And we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that today with more of a solutions approach to the post-SBS world. Next slide, please. So the SBS recap for the second webinar, again, just to kind of reach closure, basically in the second, in fact, let's go back to the first one. The first one, we identified the need several months ago that there's a need to have a webinar series and a post-SBS conversation. The second webinar was an update from midpoint of my travels that I was investigating what we can do and what's out there, and to seize the opportunity. Basically traveled the world and bumped into Zynstra in the United Kingdom, an award-winning hybrid SMB server solution, SMB appliance. They're going to talk more about that. We've worked over the last couple of months on putting together an advisory panel of top performers from North America to kind of help shape the product. I really like that part. That quite frankly, that brings back memories of the early to mid SBS life cycle, where a lot of the ISVs and OEMs had partner advisory councils and really engaged with them for product design. The Zynstra product is, bottom line, a great opportunity, proactively deliver an innovation solution to your customers, create a long-term annuity revenue stream, and grow your business value. What I want to do is just kind of underscore the long-term annuity revenue stream. So that's a key takeaway today. Just kind of put that aside for a minute, and we're going to come back to that. Next slide, please. So with that said, Rhett, are you there, sir, in Bath, England, just outside London? Are you there? Rhett, come in.
I certainly am, Harry. Thank you very much. And Hello everyone, thanks for taking time out to listen to this webinar. For those that heard us the first time round, you may recognise the voice. Yes, I'm phoning from Bath, England, so that's the west of England, and we typically talk with a slightly different accent to what you might be used to, so you'll have to excuse my West Country twang, as we would call it here. It's great to be talking with you today, and Harry, thanks for travelling the world and finding us. I think you must be looking a little like George Clooney now, and must have got that titanium air mile card that from travelling so many miles.
There you go. Good one.
Will I recognise you when I see you in Washington over the weekend? I'm sure I will.
There you go.
So for today and the introduction, I wanted to do a quick update on Zynstra since the SBS II. For those that are following the seminars, there's been lots of exciting news, and I want to run through that. I also wanted to reflect on the differences between the build your own, the typical model that we're seeing, and as Harry mentioned, we have put together an advisory panel. And that advisory panel has been giving us good feedback on how they were looking at solving this problem, what was the sort of typical approach that they were looking to take. And that's really helping us try to refine the model, and we'll go on to talk a bit about that. I can also update you with a bit more detail on the advisory panel. And these guys are all SMBs like yourself, and trying to understand the best route forward for them with this disconnect that's coming along, plus the demand for the hybrid IT. And we'll throw it over to some Q&A, and if we've got time, it'd be great to say and discuss if you had the opportunity to talk to the Microsoft executives next week at WPC, as a MSP servicing the SMB, what would you be looking for from them? And that may be something that Harry and I can collar a few of the execs and see what we can do for you and report back. So first of all, thanks again. And who are Zynstra? Well, if you hadn't heard, we are a software product company. We're HQ'd in the UK out of Bath, England. We are focused on the SMB IT, and we sell exclusively through the channel. Even though we're a software product company, our solution includes the hardware and a complete solution sold as a service, and we'll go on to talk about that later. I'm not going to talk too much. You'll be glad to hear about the product itself. We have had a new website refresh, and there's a stack load of information on there about the company. There's a neat video about what we offer, aimed at both the end user and the MSP, and some great case studies as well. So the company was founded by software specialists with a proven track record. Over a 10-year period, they built a global software product company that's sold to the tier 1 telcos. Your telephone service may even have been provisioned by a piece of software that was written by the founders of Zynstra. Over a 10-year period, that company got sold for $425 million, and the founders were with that company for the next 5 years, making sure that all the customers continue to get a great service that they're used to over the 10 years before. We are passionate, committed to delivering the best on-premise hybrid cloud IT solution, and we're going to talk very quickly about that. And to our knowledge, we believe that we're unique in our position in the marketplace, having worked on this for the last 4 years. When everyone else was thinking about only in the cloud, we were thinking about, we don't think that's going to work. We believe in a hybrid cloud IT solution, and we want to build the best of the cloud, but on-premise, and hook it into the public cloud. And we want to do that through the channel partners. So we're absolutely product focused. We're absolutely focused on channel partners. It's a hand-picked team, as you can imagine. When you've built a company with 600 people in, you can pick out the best, and everyone was happy to take the call and happy to come and join us. We are award-winning, as Harry said. So interesting that it's a cloud industry forum, and we won the most innovative SMB product for a product that actually sits on-premise. So slightly ironic, but shows that people are beginning to look holistically at the solution that's required. So since SBS II, and I was trying to think, Harry, how long ago that was. It's about 6 to 8 weeks ago. Lots been happening at Zynstra. We closed a new funding round. That funding round, you may have seen in the press yesterday, is to fund our launch in North America, but also continuing to grow and invest in the tech team that we have here. Also, this last week we signed up our first multi-thousand customer SBS WS03 migration. So, that needs to sink in. We have a large MSP here in the UK that has 25,000 plus customers. They have a large base of existing SBS WS03 customers, probably of the order of 5,000, and they have selected Zynstra as the product that they want to promote to those organizations to convince them to move to a new service with them and to solve the problem that they're facing. So that's very exciting, and we'll come back to that, because that really helps us to refine the model, take on board the advisory panel, as well as honing every step of the interaction that you would have with Zynstra as a partner. We're also signing up our first new partner via the self-serve model, and that's in Belgium. So that's great to see how a very light touch from us. People can get what they want themselves and get started. The North Advisory Panel, which I run, is very exciting, and we may have some members on the forum today. So hi, they'll have heard me twice in one day, so hopefully not too much for them. And we're looking at all aspects of the product, how it fits into the type of services that they're used to offering, and how they want to work with their customers to move them forward and solve the SBS WS03 problem, but also move them more to a hybrid approach. And we've got a great new website, so please have a look, and there's stacks of information on there. So Heather, next slide please. So just to reiterate, I think I've already mentioned it twice, so this is the third time. We are definitely focused on the SMPs, and as Harry mentioned, is to address the SBS WS03 disconnect, but it's also about delivering you a solution for the hybrid cloud IT, and that solution has long-term recurring revenue stream for you. If you're a follower of Paul Dipple, you'll understand that by white labeling a product like the Zynstra product and moving to that services model, they believe you can increase your own enterprise value. So for those of you who are thinking maybe at some point in the future of selling the business, white labeling a product like the Zynstra product and moving to that recurring revenue stream is going to help increase the value of your business. Next slide, please. So three key things in the market. As Harry mentioned, there's this demand, strong demand for a hybrid cloud IT. There's lots of drivers towards that. It's easy to go on Google and see updates from Gartner and Ovum saying hybrid cloud IT is the new norm. This is what people should be looking at as far as building their solutions. But there are also these short-term disconnects. If Heather, you could hit the button a couple of times. That is the Windows Server and the small business server. And there's lots of data about how many servers are still running Windows Server 03, SBS, and our last estimate just for the UK alone was that there were about 800,000 servers that were still running those versions of software. And I know some of you may have already moved some of your customers forward, but there are still a lot of people still hanging on to those old servers. So lots of potential customers and maybe existing customers that will be looking to you for help and guidance on what they should do next. And that said, again, as Harry mentioned earlier, there is this strong view that the on-premise server will continue to survive and grow, I think this was HB saying that there are about 28 million new on-premise servers in SMBs over the next 3-4 years. So, a huge demand for that on-premise solution, and I think the question is what is the best approach? Heather, next slide, please. So you've got a customer, they've got this disconnect, they're also saying, I want you to move me forward. Do you look at building your own solution for your customers, or if possible, would you adopt a product approach if one exists, such as Zynstra? And let's look at both of those aspects now. Let's look first at if Zynstra didn't exist, how would we be going about that? Heather, next slide, please. So I'm going to build my own solution. Let's start with the customer over on the left. They haven't really changed. They want worry-free IT. They've heard about the cloud. They've heard about hybrid cloud. They may not know what it means. They know they've got to do something, but at the end of the day, they just want IT that works. And if you can use the cloud to give them a better service and give them some of the benefits of that, that's great. But at the end of the day, a lot of these SMBs still want their own servers. But as I said, they want worry-free IT, they want local and remote access, and they think they want this hybrid cloud model. So for you as their trusted partner, what does that actually mean? Well, apologies for the slide because there's a lot of detail on it, but you as an MSP or as an SMB, you need to be looking to your MSP to provide your solution that has this great big long exhaustive list of things that you have to worry about. You've first got to build the solution from the bare metal, decide whether what versions of Windows to use. You've got to decide what options you need. Do you need to add SQL? What version of Windows? Should you include Exchange or SharePoint, or are you going to look at using that in the cloud? What desktop sharing tools do you need and products? Are they compatible, etc.? Will the VMs, Hyper-V that's provided as part of the package do what you need, or will you going to have to buy anything extra? Will they support the line of business apps? Are you going to look at backup? Do you want to do that locally on a NAS drive, or do you look at trying to back up into the cloud? Do you use the capability that Microsoft offer? Do you go to Amazon? Are there some other cloud providers that or you may even have that cloud service yourself. So a lot of choices, a lot of decisions you have to make, and with a lot of these decisions, devil's in the detail. Once you've decided on the best approach for you and your customer, you've got to look at the licensing, you've got to look at the commercials around that, you've got to maybe negotiate those, try and get the best discounts for your customer, and it's not only the technical aspects, it becomes quite a big headache on the commercials and on the licensing side as well. You may have to buy extra third-party applications, so you may have to do your own due diligence on that. So again, what seems like a straightforward task to move you from SBS to a new platform using Microsoft may actually take you quite a bit of time, both technically and commercially. You may work all that out, and then the customer goes, Joe, that's great, brilliant, that sounds like a reasonably good approach. I've got no CapEx, can you do it all on an OpEx model? So then you have to go back around that loop trying to see how you're going to finance it. Can you finance it? Will the third parties do that? How are you going to back that off? So a whole range of new issues then crop up as customers used to maybe the cloud economics and paying for something as a service. You may have existing remote management tools. How will this new approach fit into that? Once you've decided and deployed that solution, you've got to look at how the processes to ensure that all that software is kept current. What happens if third-party upgrades the software in a VM? What happens if Microsoft upgrades some services? What happens if there's some patches? What happens if there's a patch in the cloud? Does that can be compatible? And if you've started tweaking things in order to deliver a custom solution, who are your key tech staff, and who did the mods? And is it documented? Is it supported? And of course, you may, as I said, come to that great solution and then find out that the customer doesn't want to buy any hardware. Their hardware is 4 years old. What's the problem? Let's keep it going for a bit more. So you've actually got to then work out whether all the software that you've identified will actually fit on their own aging process. I'm sure some of you, as you've heard me go through this, go, yeah, that's me. Yeah, I've done that. Yeah, I've got customers that have done that to me. So it's an exhaustive list, and the devil's in the detail. And once you've built it, you've got to make sure that the cost of doing that doesn't actually price you out, such that when you actually fully load the cost of doing the integration and the migration and pulling all these pieces together, and if you were to price up your own commercial time, you may find that you price yourself out. So that's just pulling all of that together, and then when you look at the cloud providers themselves, you still have to take a close look. because these guys, they do change their service. I own and run a small business as well, and I've been on the wrong end of the stick there, where prices have changed, nobody's brought it to my attention, and then I get a big bill from my service provider at the end of the month for extra disk or storage or other apps. So you have to keep a close eye on it, and if the customer is not, they'll expect you to do that, but they won't like any surprises. And you have to keep testing and make sure that any patches, etc., are considered. So just talking through that, it's exhausted me, to be honest. There's a lot of work for you to do there to go from that fairly robust SBS that include everything to looking at what's the best solution for your customers going forward. Heather, next slide, please. So a lot of buts, but there must be some benefits. If you've got a good team there and you've got a bright bunch of people, you can pull this together. People are doing it. So what are the benefits? Well, the benefits are that obviously you stay in control of all aspects of that installation and architecture. When a customer says, can you do this, can you do that, then yes, there may obviously be a small fee associated with that. If you've got the time and the inclination, you can shop around, pick and choose maybe some of the hardware and software components and bolt them together, look at the best price and margin, incentives, and balance that with the customer requirements. So once you put that solution together, then clearly it's going to be quite harder for the customer to switch IT providers away from you if they're not sure of what's actually been delivered and how it all bolts together. And if you've done this a few times, then you may already have your shopping list, and you can integrate and repeat and do that process quicker. And you can feel good about having sourced this solution, done the due diligence, and pulled all the stuff together, get the tech team involved. So you can go to your customer and say, look, we put a lot of effort into this, and we've checked a lot of angles. So you can feel good about how you've sourced that solution and got the team involved. And it's pretty much business as usual. But as Harry mentioned earlier on, how does that move your business forward if it's back to a transactional model, albeit with ad hoc services along the way to try and keep the customer happy? So what we're trying to do there is sort of just refresh and look at some of the challenges that we're seeing with our North American Advisory Panel, and obviously our MSPs here in the UK as well. And hopefully some of that resonates and sounds familiar. So how can we still give you some of the benefits but protect you or help you from some of the downsides? So is it possible, in the next slide, if Heather, you move on, is it possible to have your cake and eat it? And we'd like to think that using the Zynstra product, you can gain a lot of those benefits, still have that control, still be pulling the best pieces together, still looking at getting the best solution to your customer, but actually move up the value stack and actually start concentrating on the applications that sit on top of that, but not have to worry about the foundations of it. And I tried to pick a cake here that there was a healthy cake, so there's quite a lot of fruit in there. So what we want is a cake, is to have your cake and eat it, but one that's healthy for you as well. So pardon the analogy there. So moving on to the next slide, please, Heather, and let's look at how the Zynstra product can help you have that cake and eat it. So the good news is there is a product that exists, the Zynstra Cloud Managed Server Appliance, that helps you deliver a hybrid IT solution. It includes two parts, the Zynstra Appliance, which is based on the HP ProLiant hardware range. It comes virtualized, resilient, autonomic, with the Zynstra software preloaded. It's pre-staged for you with the infrastructure, any managed applications, and it comes with cloud backup, cloud DR, cloud integration already built into that, into either Amazon or Azure. On top of that solution that will arrive and be able to pull out of a box, you have the Zynstra management interface, which allows us to keep it current for you on your behalf and your customer's behalf, and we keep monitoring it so that you don't have to worry about it, basically. And we do that through the cloud interface. And all of this is as a service.
Yeah, Rhett, if you don't mind, I think this is a really important slide because I've certainly worked closely with you, and and talked about your product to people in my community. And there's the question of, okay, exactly what is it? And I know you're going to get into some more detail on the other slides, but I just wanted to put sort of a marker in the ground that people are asking, okay, what is the Zynstra solution? And this is the start of that conversation, you guys. So make a visual Polaroid snapshot of this slide, and then Rhett's going to dig a little bit deeper. But Rhett, I just want to provide some context and kind of connect the dots on conversations that are occurring, and then the significance of this slide. But please continue.
Yeah, no, that's great, Harry. And we, because we live with it all the time, sometimes we forget and we gloss over actually what we're trying to do here. We're trying to actually deliver a out-of-the-box private cloud that sits on the premise that is the Zynstra software and the Zynstra smarts, and we're going to talk about all of that. But you pretty much got 4 years of IP built in to make it really easy to run your business as an SMB on our platform as a worry-free solution out of the box. But not just that, we've actually taken on the commercial challenge of taking our product, our software, pre-staging it on HP hardware and putting that together and then getting it financed for you. So there's quite a lot of work that we've done there just to get this appliance to you as a product, and also make sure it has all of the capability that you would expect to make it really easy for you to actually serve that customer. The other thing is, if that wasn't enough, we've actually said, yeah, and we'll manage it for you as far as making sure that it's there and ready for your customer and for yourself to do what you need to do. And if we see anything that needs doing, then we make sure that it's kept current. If there's any patches, any viruses, any problems that come through any of those software products, we make sure that it all works with each other. And I think that, as you may know, as either IT managers or as MSPs, there's a lot of work sometimes to keep systems current, and quite a lot of the time, the customer's not prepared to pay for that, and that gives you headaches down the line. So it's a good point, Harry. We sometimes forget how much we do, and the challenge of trying to pull together all of the aspects of a software product on HP hardware as a service delivered out of the box with the cloud management.
Yeah, and before you go to the next slide, I was just going to say that's exactly right. That when you live and breathe with something every day, like for example, the world tour I was just on, and Rhett, I must have delivered that speech, 30 times, and sometimes familiarity can almost be a roadblock, and I mean that kindly, but when I live and breathe with the speech every single day, and you've invested 4 years in a product, quite frankly, it's healthy to have outside questions. A very simple question, Rhett, exactly what is it?
Yeah.
But please continue. Good stuff.
Thanks. Yeah, so those are the key components. So next slide, please, Heather. Sorry, I forgot the animation. So there is a range of appliances. Heather, if you do the next one as well, yeah. So there is a range of appliances, as Heather just quickly put up. Sorry, my apologies on that. It's getting late for me, and I must admit I've stayed up watching the World Cup rather late for 2 nights this week. So the whole thing about the product is all about choice. It's choice for you as the partner, making it easier for you to actually deliver that choice and control to your customers so that they can decide what applications they run on-premise, they can decide what data they store on-premise, and they can actually easily decide with you as to what data to move or store in the cloud, what data to back up, and whether to go for off-site resilience and DR in the cloud. So the Zynstra product and solution gives you the choice and the control to decide how best to deliver the solution for your end users. Next slide, please, Heather. And I think that last slide, Harry, you quite like that. That's supposed to be a slider in the middle. So you as the MSP working with the customer.
Yeah. Rhett, you're right. I've liked it in the past. I like it today, the thermometer bars. So folks, hats off to kind of thinking in terms of how much local cloud, how much remote cloud. I do like that slide. Boy, this slide, I can't decide if I'm in love with it or not.
Well,
a lot of details, Rhett.
Yeah. Well, I'm not going to. You'll be glad to hear, Harry. I'm not going to go through that. What I wanted to show, because it's very difficult, because we have MSPs that go, yeah, we can do remote management, yeah, we can do security and firewall, and we look after firewall print management, and yeah, we can pull all this together. And then when we get the MSPs in and we sit down and go, right, this is what we do, this is all the smarts, this is what we've done for you, this is why we make it easy. Pretty much after a couple of hours, everyone goes away thinking, yeah, I can see you've done it. You've done all the things that we would like to do, but didn't have a development team to be able to pull together. So very often we're right on song with what the CTOs of the MSPs or the head techs would have liked to have built if their management would have given them the time and the resources to do that. So yeah, they've done it, and sometimes they've done it many times as an ad hoc process, but they've never productized it. And what we try to do is to productize it, make it and make it available to everyone in a way that it's easy to pick up and use. So we've done everything from resilient clusters, share nothing, all the multi-site connectivity, all the network gateways. We've added schools, content, and web filtering to make it fit for purpose. We've got firewall, we've got antivirus, intrusion detection. There's a whole range of capability here that makes it really easy to just have it deliver on site and for you to start the value add, which is the migration, which is the line of business, and not worry about the fundamental ITs and aspects and which version of software goes with which version of software on within the Windows experience or the server experience. You can run your apps as within our IaaS container, as you would expect, but that framework is all in place for you. It's all secure, it's all contained, and we make it really easy for you as a partner to put those line of business apps in a container. 4 applications that we would call managed applications, and this is what we're working with the advisory panel. They're our products. It could be something like Sonic Wall, where if 90% of our partners are saying we want to work with Sonic Wall, we'll put that in a container, and we can have it managed, preloaded, and keep current along with the rest of the platform. So these could be functional applications, or they could be vertical market. So this could be an education specific, it could be retail specific. So we're looking at the top ISVs in each of these target verticals, and we'll be looking at how we put those into a managed app. And then we've got things like special encrypted backup, so only the customer has the key. We have single sign-on into Office 365 and other applications, into ADFS. It's auto-configured, it's curated, it's managed, and we have a sophisticated console to enable you to manage that as well. So yeah, we could talk, and we have talked with MSPs on this slide for an hour and a half, 2 hours, going through all the functions that we offer here. But you're glad to hear it. I'm going to move on to the next slide. And if you're interested, email us or go onto the website and download some of the product literature there. The important thing about the product is not just its functionality, but what its functionality does, and it does for you as the partner. What our goal is to deliver you a solution that can go on site that makes it fast to deploy and easy to manage. So right across your range of responsibilities, we can make it easier for you to do a quicker pre-sale site survey, a quicker installation, a quicker migration, and easier for you to support. So everywhere across your business, you can actually deliver your service either with less people, or you can support more customers with those people. Next slide, please. Sorry, I'll write this a little bit slowly. So the other thing about having a product approach rather than building your own is, there's lots of product resources that will be available to you, and we're producing those all of the time, and you'll be able to see some of those on the website. So another advantage of taking a product approach to this disconnect is, there's a lot of resources, and a lot of people may have asked that question for you before. Next slide, please, Heather. And we're also putting a lot of the resources together. Heather, if you could do the animation right through to the end. We're looking at that end-to-end journey. We're looking at the end-to-end journey for our partners, and actually putting in place training modules and videos and webinars so that it talks about the proposition, how to price it, how to configure it, how to deliver, install ops, etc. So everything that you would need to take you on that journey from getting familiar with the Zynstra solution and delivering it to your customer, helping you with that migration, and then monitoring and maintaining it thereafter, is all being thought through, and a lot of the process, a lot of the questions you might get about offering this hybrid cloud solution, we'll have prepared and done for you, and be there to help. And we're getting a lot of good feedback from the advisory panel on these webinars, and we're working on making them more North American specific, and losing a few of the West Country twangs that you may hear in my my presentation here today.
Hey, Rhett, on this slide, I'm just curious, but have you considered a certification type process or outcome? Because this looks like a really good curriculum, and I was just curious if someone can, is that on the roadmap where someone could pass an exam and then get a certificate or a badge or something? Because I'm impressed. You've thought this through.
Yeah, and there's that was exactly one of the questions that was being asked today. Is once people have been through this, can I get a certificate? What sort of test would I need to prove so that I'm Zynstra certified? I've been through this training process. One of the next stages that we're doing with the advisory panel is obviously the demonstration of the software, but also that the access to a sandbox as well to maybe do part of that test and certification process. So absolutely, we're totally with you. I don't know if you've anybody seen products that are in the UK that have this nice crest that say approved by Her Majesty the Queen. We had thought of whether we could get a royal crest, but I'm not sure that the Queen is quite into SMB IT at the moment. The next slide, please, Heather. So the other thing about that slide, whilst we're waiting for it to swap over, is because of the project I mentioned earlier in the presentation, where we'll be looking to deploy thousands of SBS WSO3 migrations. Not only will be coming across most of the software packages that you would expect, but we'll be honing that process. And really in doing that, we'll be looking at, you may wonder why I swapped to the Tour de France, but the way that Nick East, our CEO and a big cycling fanatic, is looking at this is that everything we must do, and it's supported by that extra funding round and our ethos, is look for that accumulation of marginal gains. And if you know the history of the British Olympic cycling team, we monopolised the previous Olympics by looking at absolutely everything from the riders' helmets to the pillows they slept on, to their outfits, to the bikes. So everywhere, from anything that the cyclists touched, they look for those marginal gains. If you get 1% here, 2% here in the overall process, then you'll actually get, and you pull that together, then you get a fantastic product. So that's what we're doing. We're not going to rest on our laurels. We have a great solution. We put a lot of IP into it, but every day we'll be looking for those marginal gains, and those marginal gains will be in making it more comprehensive, faster to deploy, easier to manage, more cost effective. And we believe by doing that, it's great for the customer, it's great for you, and obviously, it should reflect well on ourselves. And
Rhett, what I would do, I've been to your office twice outside of London, and what I would affirm, you've heard me say it, but I'll say it again, is you guys sure are detail oriented. I mean, my compliments. You guys, I could learn.
Very kind, Harry, very kind. And you like cycling as well, so I thought I'd put that in as well, Harry, for you. I'm not sure, I can't quite see you in any of the pictures, but I'm sure we'll post some more up of you there the next time.
There we go. Okay.
So it's if we now reflect and look at that comparison, and Heather, if you move to the next slide, you'll see that there's sorry, I think we missed one. Can you go back one, Heather? I'm missing a comparison slide. Nope. Okay. Right. Well, I'll try and remember that. But there should have been a slide between 22 and the next slide, which actually just lists, and we'll make sure they're in the deck that gets emailed out. The comparison of yeah, if you go back to the cycling one for now, that would be great. The comparison of the build-your-own approach versus the product approach from Zynstra. You know, we do have a hyper-converged product. It has a lot of features in it that makes it easy for you to deploy. There's a lot of smarts in there. There's a lot of patents being applied for. And you know, I think when you actually look at what it delivers, and it delivers this as a service, out of the box, pre-integrated, it takes away a lot of the administration, the management, the overheads, and the challenges with actually migrating a customer. So it's a great solution for that migration, and it's a great solution for a long-term relationship, as Harry mentioned earlier, moving them to a recurring revenue model based on a product that's been well thought out and targeted at this specific problem. And as per this slide, we'll keep on those marginal gains as well. So you can continue, you can rest assured that we'll keep trying to make every step of the way better for you. So you know, we'd like to think that by considering the SBS and the WSO3 next steps, that you can look at the potential benefits of building your own, but actually see that you can get those benefits still by using a Zynstra product, and that a lot of the challenges from actually delivering that, the things that you don't really like doing, we do for you. And you can concentrate on the line of business apps, the actual specifics to the end user. As I said, rest assured that we're going to do the worry-free IT for you, and at a price point that actually makes it attractive. One of the things that we're working on with the North American Advisory Panel, and Heather, if you go to the next slide, is all about what can we provide you, what can we do to make it better for you. So you know, the North Advisory Panel is made up of 18 expert partners, you know, SMB Nation people, Carl Palatrix people. These are people that you know, live, eat, and drink the SBS next steps. How do I keep my partners going? How do I, you know, make myself efficient? How do I move to that new paradigm? And we've got 18 of these partners in the US and Canada. They're signed up. They're excited. They're helping us refine that message. We're working on you know, the benefits, that best of both worlds. We've got some great TCO slides that show that the you know, using the Zynstra solution is cheaper than all on-premise. It's cheaper than on-premise with public cloud, and over a 5-7 year period, and we can share that with you. We're also aware there's some state or province-specific requirements. Connectivity is not the same everywhere. There are key verticals that work well in some areas and not. There's specific target markets that like mining that throw up certain issues. And there's an awareness of you know, not every SMB MSP it has the ability to license SPLAs. So if we can do that for you, if we can manage that, package that, then maybe we do a bit more and include, make sure that there's options for Exchange, SharePoint, and Link. We've looked at you know, most of you have existing customers that you're looking to migrate. You'll also be trying to win new customers, but you know, there's this brownfield site, and how do we make it easy for you to migrate them? We shared the pricing models with the advisory panel, and at the moment it's all looking like it's a very attractive model, priced aggressively, and as we said, going through the TCOs, it looks that you know, 1 year, 3 year, 5 years, you know, we can actually offer a better product, a better solution, and at a better price. And yeah, it looks like you know, the team are very keen to deploy it to their initial customers, and ideally be able to present to those of you that go along to the SMB Nation event. And we really like to be able to share those stories with you and look at some of those case studies and how we went through that, and arrange maybe a workshop or two at the event to take you through that in more detail. And supporting that activity, we'll also be looking at a full launch in North America in the fall, and that will have local tech support as well. So I think that was all I wanted to try and cover off today. Hopefully it's given you a flavour of, yeah, we understand what the problems are of trying to build it yourself. We've hopefully given you a bit of a refresher or a taster of the Zynstra product. And if you want to find out more, as I said, there's a lot of information on the website. But also, we believe that if we look at some of the things you're used to doing and take the Zynstra product, you can have the best of both worlds there. And also you know, invest in looking at a foundation that you can build upon, but know that it's going to continue to improve.
Hey, Rhett, let's see, I got a question here. If now's a good time to take on a few questions, okay? And folks, be sure to use the chat feature to ask your questions. But we have an individual asking, what about SQL Server specific line of business applications that are locally installed? Don't see how the solution would fit without that in some cases. I understand the question. You know, I'm an old SQL Server certified guy, and it's a good question. What's your take on SQL Server, local installation, that kind of thing to support a line of business app, Brad?
Yep. Obviously, certain packages from Microsoft come with SQL Server, so it depends on what the baseline is. You can run SQL Server in a VM, or you can run it on the platform itself, depending on what you go for. So we support SQL Server in a VM, but we're also looking to have that as a managed app that you can have provided with the platform, or managed for you and kept current. So absolutely, depending on what you want to do with SQL Server, we can make that even easier for you, or we can support you installing the software and managing it yourself.
Okay, great. So folks, be sure to use the chat feature to ask those questions. I have a question I can probably answer for you, or Rhett, you're welcome to. Where are the names of the advisory group members listed? And Rhett, I would offer, and correct me if I'm wrong, but typically in product development, those are sort of, with all due respect, sort of a confidential list as you're going through pricing and developing your product. Maybe you can do a better job of answering that, but I'll throw you a softball.
They're a group of 18 partners. They were, you may recall, Harry, that on one of the previous updates, we asked people to apply to join that team. It was oversubscribed. We're glad to hear that lots of people wanted to be part of it, and we've selected these partners. I think we see it as a confidential group. People are very open, and they can be as open as they like, and as critical as they like, or as supportive. So that's not actually published at this stage. It may be something that we can publish at the SMB Nation event. And hopefully some of those partners will be hopefully come along and speak at that event. So this it's a confidential list, but it's from the community.
Yep, absolutely. So folks, second call for questions. Rhett, I think something that I want to highlight as a key part of today is the drawing out the build your own versus going with the solution set. And I'd encourage people to maybe ask questions about that, because there's so much context surrounding that. I mean, the Microsoft community had a system builder program years ago that was, at times it felt as big as the partner program. I mean, it's a big deal. And so we're kind of having that conversation. But that's, I've got a question. Rhett, questions come in. What OS runs on the device?
It's our software. We do have some Windows Server licenses to provide print server, file server, Active Directory, but it's based on a Linux kernel.
Okay, great.
What we need to do, Harry, just to also let people know, is we've tried to use the best open source components possible to try and keep the cost of the platform down. So it's at the heart of it, there's Linux, but there's also some Windows Server licenses to provide Active Directory, file server, print server. So from the end user's perspective, it looks like what they're used to, but under the hood, there's a lot of Linux software.
Absolutely. So, Rhett, I'm looking at a Boeing jet.
Yeah, that
Would
was.
you like to describe that to me?
So I was thinking that we were just about to wrap up, actually. So for those of you that wanted to get hold of Zynstra and send me a note, then and for those of you that have decided to stay up late and listen to me, which would be it's very much appreciated. And if you're in the UK or Europe, thanks for staying on. Or if you're in Asia, thanks for waking up to me. Feel like a Radio 1 DJ or something. Just email us, and we'd love to hear from you. We'd love for you to become a partner, and we're very keen to give you a solution that you'll enjoy using. And also it'll make help you be more successful going forward.
Sure. Well, I'll tell you what, Rhett, with that said, you're absolutely right. We are at time, and we're always committed to kind of honoring the timepiece. People have taken an hour out of their busy day to participate with us. Folks, next week there won't be a webinar. It's WPC week, so enjoy the week, and we'll return in 2 weeks. And be sure to take advantage. If you are, I would offer, if you're within a couple hundred miles of Washington, D.C., feel free to join us at the Beer Fest that we're having with Zynstra on Sunday night from 7:30 to 9:30 Eastern. That's the 13th, and that's part of the pre-WPC program. You can meet Rhett and the gang, have conversations about their solution. You'll get the link from Heather, a little follow-up email. But if you want to kind of block that out on your calendar, and a really important point, you don't have to be going to WPC to attend the Beer Fest. We always do this because WPC is not necessarily for everybody, and I get that, we get that. So if you're in the region, you're on vacation, what have you, come on and join the Beer Fest on Sunday night from 7:30 to 9:30. Stay tuned for more announcements. We'll see you in 2 weeks. Have a great day. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.